Welcome to a new session of the course Advanced Operations Research and Management. We continue with our introduction to the course. To start with, I would like to talk about some real-world problems that we will treat in this course, where you will learn more about how to solve these real-world problems. And the method we use to solve these real-world problems are quantitative models. So the focus in terms of methodology of this course will be learning about modeling methods. You will be able to read and understand existing models, and you should be able to extend these existing models. Though we will deal a lot in this course with modeling methods. We will discuss about certain examples, certain problem areas from logistics, of course. And the main problem area that we will look at in this course are location decisions and transportation decisions. We will also have some examples related to production decisions, but location and transportation are our most common problems that we will have a look at. What we will do in this course, it is a lab-based course. We will be in the computer lab as well. And you will implement the mathematical models in commercial standard software. What does commercial mean? Why do I emphasize commercial? This is software that is really used by companies to solve these types of problems. It is not a pure academic software that is only used at universities and not in the real world, but it's also not a software designed for laymen, for uneducated users, though it will be a little bit more complicated to understand and to apply this software because you really need to be an expert to use this software. And one of the goals in this course is that you become an expert in using this software. By means of this software, you will solve the optimization models. That is in contrast to other courses, for example, the operations research course. The focus in this course will not be so much on applying algorithms to solve the models, but we will do this most of the time with software. There is a small exception. We will look at some network flow problems and algorithms, and these algorithms you will learn how to apply them by hand calculations. So let's focus on the location decisions. Pause a moment and think about what location decisions of businesses do you know? About which type of location decisions have you learned in your study program? Recall the different courses and check if you talked about location decisions. What have you read in some newspaper articles? Which location decisions have been discussed? What do you just know from your general understanding of businesses about location decisions? Which type of location decisions are out there? I recommend to make some notes. Press the pause button to this video and make some notes and try to reflect a little bit about this decision to make you more open for the coming contents. Okay, let's continue. We have location problems where we need to select a single location. For example, in Oman, when we want to build a new port. When they decided where to build the port Dokkum, they made this single location decision because we want to build only one additional independent port. And what is the best location in Oman to have this port? This is a single location decision. We do not really care about other ports in other locations from our own company. These location decisions are very, very common, and you can use different types of methods to make this decision. Of course, such a decision has a big impact because it's difficult to change this location in the future. So once you decide to create Port Docum in Docum, then you're somewhat fixed to this location. If you realize this location was not as good as it should be, you cannot just change the decision once you started constructing the port. It will be very costly or maybe even impossible to do that. This is a single location decision. The same applies when you, for example, have your own coffee shop, you start your own coffee shop business, and you select a location for your first and only coffee shop that you operate. For example, you look at locations with a lot of potential customers, for example, in shopping centers. You want to look at the competition of shops near this location, etc. These are criteria that you might check. But we also have not only single location decisions, but we have multiple location decisions. So let's assume your coffee shop business is growing quickly and you do not only operate a single coffee shop, but you operate in one city 20 coffee shops, for example. You have a business just like Starbucks or any other chain store-based business. Though then the decision for one store affects the decision for the other stores. For example, you want to make sure that you cover 80% of the possible customers in a city with all of your stores. Though when you plan for the locations where to open a store in the future, a coffee shop, then you take the existing locations of your own network into account. Now that we have a location problem where we need to make a number of locations and we do these decisions all at the same time. The location decision is one of the most long-term decisions for most businesses, and it has a strategic importance. We cannot change it quickly. Location decisions for big businesses are not only local, we have to take into account the worldwide possibilities that are offered. For example, if we are producing cars, then we will produce these cars typically worldwide. So we have to decide in which country can we produce the engine, in which country can we produce the tires, in which country can we produce some electrical components, etc. And these location decisions have a significant impact on our manufacturing quality. For example, Porsche made the decision just like last week. Porsche from Germany, they decided to not manufacture in China because they don't want to go the risk. They don't want to take the risk to have a negative impact on their quality, which would mean that the brand image, the image of the brand would suffer and they could not charge the high prices they charge right now. Though this is a strategic decision not to manufacture in certain countries in order to keep a high level of quality. On the other hand, for other products, maybe the price is more important, and then you can manufacture in China or in any other country with low wages, as an example. Usually, these location decisions for most businesses are rather infrequent. That means you don't do these decisions every day in most businesses. For example, if you open your own coffee shop, you will be concerned with this location right in the beginning when you start your business, and then maybe for several years you do not have to take this decision again. though meaning there's not a lot of learning for most businesses in taking this decision. We cannot gather a lot of experience in this decision. What other location decisions are out there? Well, let's think of warehouses. Maybe you're a third-party logistics service provider and you operate warehouses. Where should you place your warehouses? If you're an integrated oil and gas manufacturer like PDO, where should you place your warehouses that provide the materials, the equipment to support your oil extraction projects? Yeah. So when you operate a warehouse, of course, you have to take a location decision. We discussed the production sites in a supply chain as an example by the automotive industry. Location decisions are also important when you design a hub and spoke network. What was the hub and spoke network again? Well, you have one hub node and several surrounding nodes, and these smaller nodes are connected to the main hub node via spokes. Such a structure is very common in many logistics networks. For example, in the airline industry, you have small airports, regional airports, and you have major airports that take the role of a hub. For example, in the Middle East, Dubai is the most important hub. And you have a regional airport, for example, from Muscat, that brings the passengers towards Dubai. In Dubai, we collect and combine the passengers, and then we use a big plane to transport these passengers to another country far away, for example, New York. And the benefit of such a structure is that we can operate the long distance connections at very low cost per customers because we bundle these demand on these long connections between two hubs. Location decisions are important for all chain store businesses like retail shops, grocery stores, or telecommunication providers. Grocery stores, think of shops like Carrefour or Lulu, who want to cover a certain area in Muscat. They have to think about how to cover many customers, how to get access to many customers, and on the other hand, if you build these stores too close to each other, then they make themselves competition. Telecommunication operators, here I'm talking not about the telecommunication network, which also requires location decisions, but I have in mind here the retail outlet stores where you can where the final customer can go to and pay the invoices, sign up for new products, change existing contracts, all these things. When you build a public transport network, for example, like Marcella with a bus network or a tram or metro operation, you need to think about the locations of your stops and the structure of your network. Location decisions, of course, are also existing in the healthcare industry. How many hospitals do you need to provide enough service for your people in your country? When you open pharmacies, then it's something similar like a chain store, where to place the pharmacies so that your customers are provided with the necessary services. But there's also another interesting location planning problem. This is a problem: where should you place your ambulance vehicles so that in case of an emergency, every spot, every area in your city is covered so that it's reached in a very short time by an ambulance vehicle? So this is an interesting operational planning problem related to location decision making. In the public service sector, you have to decide about where are the locations for your police stations, fire departments, or for example, public library, so that you can provide these services to your customers. And you always need to achieve a certain coverage of the whole population. So if you build 10 police stations in Muscat and they are all in the same area, then this area is very safe. There's a lot of police service available in this area, but in all the other areas, you almost have no coverage. And in case of a crime, the reaction time of the police will be very high. So this makes no sense. You have to achieve almost equal coverage of all the areas in your city via police services. And the last example I want to talk about is the mobility sector. On the one hand, where to offer petrol stations along the highways, in the inner cities, etc. But a more recent problem is to the car and bike sharing economies. Okay, bike sharing is not something that is very common here in Oman, but maybe car sharing can become important. Though these are concepts in order to decide for the locations where your cars that you want to share with other customers are available, how to access these, and how to return the used cars. Though there are a big variety of location decisions out there affecting many areas of our daily life, and usually these location decisions in many cases have a long-term impact on the available services, and therefore we need to be very careful to make the right decision.